What's up, 3HL fans, and welcome to another edition of the 3HL Live. I'm Sam, this is Pat, and we're inside the beautiful mobility shop filming this. It's a proud sponsor of the 3HL Tour. Now we're going to kick things off today because we're going to start with our newer segment called Player of the Day, and today we're featuring a player with a lot of hype around him, Joey Tenute, who went first overall in our 2017 draft. Very exciting stuff, but if that wasn't exciting enough, he's also playing for his hometown of Hamilton, so let's stick on the excitement train. Pat, how excited should 3HL fans be to have Joey Tenute join the tour?
You know what? They should be really excited. They should be ecstatic. I can't even get words out. That's how excited I'm to see him on the 3HL tour. But no, in all seriousness, this is a guy that fits perfectly for 3-on-3 pro hockey. You look at his numbers in pro: 530 points in his pro career in the AHL, the ECHL, the DEL, some other leagues in Europe as well. So this is a guy that has a ton of pro experience. He has no problem putting the puck in the net. He's a great playmaker, and he's got a ton of speed, which is huge. So, I mean, this is a guy who also was ECHL Rookie of the Year. He's won a Calder Cup in the AHL. This is a great piece, not only for the Tigers, but a good player to have in the 3HL.
So, Tenute has a lot of experience playing over in Europe, as you were just mentioning, and with that comes a lot of speed, because it's a big part of the play there in Europe. It's a big part of the play here at the 3HL Tour. So how do you think his adjustment's going to be?
I think he's going to hit the ice flying, if you will. He's a very, very speedy forward. A lot of, maybe you say the reason why he didn't make it to the NHL was because of his size. Well, in the 3HL, it doesn't matter about size. This is a guy that can flat out play. And if you can play and if you can skate, you're perfect for the 3HL, and that's exactly what he is. I think he's going to be a great piece for this Tigers team, who will get to their roster in just a bit. And I think Mike Burgoyne did a great job putting a competitive team right off the hop right away. But Tenute, I mean, you can't say enough about him. He went first overall in this draft for a reason. I think he's going to be an impact player right away, and there's going to be some guys who are going to really fit in with him as well.
So, Pat, we've decided that he fits into the 3HL Tour. We kind of hinted that he fits on the roster, and why is he going to fit on this roster?
I think it's speed. I think straight up it's speed, and I already said Mike Burgoyne's done a great job building this team. We'll talk about the individual players in just a moment, but all these guys, they can all skate. They can all move the puck, and I think this is a team that's going to pride themselves off scoring off the rush and having good puck possession. So Mike Burgoyne is running this team. He won. We saw what he did with the London Threes last year. He knows what it takes to be a 3HL Champions Cup winner, and I think he's going to take all his experience that he had with London last year and then brought in players that he knows that can fit that style of play.
So let's go ahead and look at those individual players and that Hamilton roster. It's a roster of 12. So David Russell, Steve Dole, Michael Catenacci, Mike Roberto, Joey Tenute, which we already spoke about, Simon Mangos, Dustin Alcock, Josh Burnell, Mike Burgoyne, Chad Spur, Jeff Castor, and then the goaltender Brett Liggett.
Yeah, I mean, look.
I was just going to cut you off because I really wanted to ask you, Pat, who out of all that entire roster do you see hitting the ice really flying in this season?
You know what? There's a bunch of players on that roster that I think that are going to, have an impact early. Like we mentioned a lot on this show before, it is going to take a little while for these teams to kind of adjust to that play. But I think that they have a really strong skill set where they're going to be able to translate well in the 3HL. One player off the hop who I think is going to have a lot of success in this league, and if you're a Kitchener Rangers fan, you're definitely going to recognize this name. It's Michael Catenacci. He was the captain in his last year in the OHL. This is a guy, you want to talk about speed and skill, he has it all. He's got great tools. I think with some open ice, I can only imagine what he can do. In his pro career, he played in the ECHL, played over in Italy as well, so he is, coming back, resurging his pro career, and I think he's going to be perfect for not only the Tigers but the league. Another player that really sticks out to me is Josh Burnell as well. Played Division III after playing with Georgetown, the Georgetown Raiders in Junior A in Ontario. Went away to play for Elmira, a Division III team. Had a really strong collegiate career. Then went overseas, played in the DEL 2 for a little while. Now he's coming home, but he's continuing his pro career, playing 3-on-3 pro hockey. He's a guy, lots of skill as well too. He's actually a good two-way forward as well, and that's one thing Mike Burgoyne is definitely stressed with this roster. Sure, he's got a lot of strong, talented players, but he's got a lot of other players that can play both sides of the, in their own end. end and in the offensive end. Burnell's one of those guys, so he's a guy that I look to see to make an impact. And Mike Burgoyne as well. We already talked about him. We saw what he was able to do with the London last year. A really strong rock defensive player for the Threes last year. Good puck movement, a mover as well. I anticipate for the Tigers, he's going to be not only a leader off the ice and on the ice, but he's going to be a real strong anchor on the back end of a team that is very offensive minded.
Well, speaking of the back end, let's talk about goaltenders, because I'm very excited to see Brett Leggett really take control in this tournament and see how long it takes him to adjust. That's kind of the trick here. Is last season I was looking at the goaltenders, and I think it was a shock for them to realize that they had to be that fourth man on the ice and play really offensively.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool to see him. You guys can see everybody on this team at the showcase on September 30th in Kitchener. But you can also see them at our season opener in London. That's the first tournament, and Hamilton is up right away, and we're going to go over round one in a second, but I want to break down the bracket because, Pat, I want to get your thoughts before we go.
Sure.
So Milton and Markham, first off, we're going to go head-to-head, and then Guelph Kitchener. The London Threes will take on the first expansion team, the Simcoe County Clippers. And then a cool game, the fourth game is going to be two expansion teams. We have the Aurora Avalanche and the Hamilton Tigers. Now, I have to ask you, who's your favorite in all of that?
You know what? It's tough to pick a favorite since we haven't seen all these teams play just yet with some of the new players. We will see them, like you said, in that early bird in Kitchener on September 30th. But if I had to pick one team off the hop, I think right away, it's tough to pick one of the expansion teams just because it's going to be their first time. We talked about the adjustment so much. It's going to be adjustment for them. So obviously, a returning team I think has the advantage. And speaking of advantage, I think the home ice advantage is really going to help London. And I see them as the favorite heading into this tournament. Not just because they won a 3HL's Champions Cup last year. They added some really nice pieces in Jason Williams and Chris Menard as well. So that bolsters their already strong lineup. But I like the way that their bracket fits. Off the hop, they play Simcoe, who's going to be a really good team. The Clippers will be a strong team, but it's a team that is just getting their first taste of 3-on-3 pro hockey. Then they place the winner of Aurora and Hamilton, so another new team there. So I'm not saying their draw to the final is easy by any stretch of the imagination, but they could definitely catch two teams off guard who are just trying to adjust to the game, where this is the defending champion taking on two teams that haven't been there before.
Hashtag welcome to the league if you're going to face the defending champions. Pat, thanks for that quick insight. If you guys want a full in-depth breakdown of the bracket coming up, Pat's going to do that a little later on in the week and also hit some of the big names on the rosters that will be appearing in that tournament as well. But you don't want to miss it, so you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Visit us at 3hltour.com. Like and comment on all of our posts, guys, because we want to see what your bracket looks like heading into the London tournament as well. It's been another edition of the 3HL Live. I'm Sam McDade. This is Pat Gregoire. We'll see you next time.